Thank you very much. Thanks, Bob, for giving us an overview of kind of where we are on the economic scene. When I thought about this morning and talking about an economy that works for all Americans, what struck me is that we're really talking about the American dream. The American dream is at the core value of what America stands for. It promises that if you work hard, you can take care of yourself and your family. It promises that you can rise based on your abilities. Yet here in America, we have the greatest inequality since the Gilded Age. 1 out of every 4 jobs pays less than $9 an hour. 30 million Americans, and growing, are in jobs that fail to provide the basics of a decent life. So the promise of the American dream has failed for millions and millions of Americans. And the jobs that they're in, these low-wage jobs, not only don't provide adequate wages, they fail to provide health insurance. They fail to provide paid time off for sickness or family leave. They're the least likely jobs that provide training. They're the least likely to provide any kind of retirement benefits. They're the most hazardous jobs. They require the most nighttime hours. These are low-wage jobs in America. But instead of the benefits of higher-wage jobs trickling down to these low-wage jobs, the reverse is happening in America. More and more middle-income jobs are taking on the characteristics of these low-wage jobs. Employers are shifting the risk to employees in health care, retirement, paid time off, severance. At one time, there were 73% of Americans covered just in 1987. Today, that's down to 63% by employers. The same story is true with regard to pensions. For full-time workers 30 years ago, 44 were covered in traditional pension plans. That number has plummeted to 17% today. More and more Americans do not have the ability to take care of themselves and their family. This is a problem for all working Americans. The real question facing us, and as progressives, us particularly, is how we're going to create jobs that sustain families in America and give hope to all ordinary Americans. That's our job. That's our goal. So how do we improve these low-wage jobs and these middle-income jobs that are failing to provide the basics for people to take care of their families? It's far from hopeless. Just think back. The manufacturing jobs all of us look to today as the good jobs in our economy. You hear it all the time. Those good jobs are going overseas. Those good jobs in auto and steel. Well, those jobs at one time were really pretty crummy jobs. They paid poorly. They had few benefits. They were dirty. They were hazardous. They became good jobs through unionization and social legislation. There is nothing inherently low wage about a child care worker, a nursing home worker, a janitor, a hotel worker, a security guard, an educational assistant, a food processing worker. There is nothing inherently low wage about those jobs. And in fact, these jobs can't go anywhere. They have to be done here in the United States. You can't outsource a child care worker, a nursing home worker, or a janitor, or a hotel worker. We can make different choices, and progressives have to show the way to ensure that prosperity is not just going to the few, but to all Americans. So what do we need to do to restore the American dream and to ensure that there really is opportunity for all Americans? We need, and I talk about this in my book, a new compact with working Americans. And what would that entail? First, we would ensure that all jobs provide a living wage. We need to hike the minimum wage. It's $5.15 an hour at the federal level, $2 less in value since 1968. In the 1960s, it was worth 50% of average wages. Today, it's down to 32%. We need to hike the federal minimum wage. What else? Americans believe in it. We need to get out there, as Bob just mentioned. Shame on John Kerry for not getting out and supporting a hike in the state minimum wage in Florida. 3/4 of Americans believe in it. We need to stand up and fight for it. There's an explosion of minimum wage ordinances at the state level. We need to get out and support them. We need to be vocal about it, and we need to talk about that all jobs in America need to provide a living wage. What else? We need to support living wage ordinances that tie the ability to get taxpayer dollars with providing good jobs. Employers who are providing poor jobs and impoverishing workers should not have the benefit of our taxpayer dollars. The Walmarts of the world should not get a dollar from any of us. Employers that go the high road should have incentives and should be the recipients of our hard-earned money. Second, we need to ensure that all Americans have access to affordable health care. We are the only industrialized country that has failed to do so. The only industrialized country that has failed to do so. We need to ensure that employers, if they don't provide health insurance, have to pay into a pot. Walmart should not be able to pass off their responsibility to taxpayers. Third, we need to ensure that Americans have time off to be with their families. We need paid sick leave and paid family leave. Fourth, we need to ensure that we preserve Social Security and improve private pensions. It is a travesty that corporations can renege on their responsibility while CEOs have golden parachutes. It's a travesty that employers provide 401k plans and their match only goes to those workers who can afford to put it in the plan. All workers should get employer contributions. Fifth, we need to ensure the right to organize. The way that manufacturing jobs in this country became good jobs was the right to organize. And we need to ensure that the workers in service jobs today have that right. Janitors in New Jersey are making a living wage at $13, $14 an hour with health benefits and paid time off. The only difference between them and their counterparts that make $8 without benefits is the fact that they have a union. Mary Beth Maxwell will go into how, in fact, the right to organize is in jeopardy in the United States. But if we're going to have jobs that provide family-sustaining wages and benefits, we need to have the unfettered right to organize. And last, all children should have the opportunity to thrive. And what does that mean? It means that they have the ability to get quality preschool and child care and public schools. And we need a GI Bill type legislation that ensures that every child that qualifies for college can go regardless of the fact that their parents cannot pay for that kind of college. I want to close by saying this. Whether work provides the ability to take care of oneself and one's family is not a conservative or liberal issue. It is a moral one. Americans understand the connection between good jobs and moral values. Are we going to have a society that provides jobs, that takes care of families? Are we going to reward work? Are we going to ensure that all Americans have opportunities? When I was growing up and looked at the American flag, I saw the ability to make America a better place for all Americans. Those were my ideals. That's what kept me going and believing in America. According to a recent poll by Democracy Corps, Americans want bold action on their behalf. They don't want government off their backs. They want it on their side. We need to ensure that we fight for an America that ensures that the American dream is not just for the few, but for all Americans. That's our fight, and we're going to win.